And we're live. Thank you all for joining us on the Raw Food Health Empowerment Podcast. Welcome back. We are here to explore, as we always do, the transformative power of a holistic, high raw vegan lifestyle. And part of that lifestyle, things happen. We all go through grief. We have responsibilities, caretaking responsibilities, and some of us are in transition as we're going on this lifestyle. A lot of things are opening up for us, and we're trying to figure out what is the next step. What is, God or some spiritual being trying to tell us in terms of our life purpose? I talk a lot about having a holistic, healthy life and having a healthy body and especially a healthy brain. You need to have some spiritual anchoring. And it doesn't matter what you call that, right? But part of that is knowing your life purpose. Like, what is your legacy? This is what's going to anchor you in sustaining healthy habits going forward. So I'm so excited today. We are honored to have Marion Johnson, a new friend I just made, who's a devoted advocate for women's empowerment and healing. And Marion hails from Flint, Michigan, although she doesn't live there right now, but that's where she's from. And she's dedicated her life to helping women reclaim their lives after life altering experiences through her Redefine Your Healing mentorship program. With her deep roots in community service and spiritual leadership, Marion has impacted countless lives, guiding them towards new beginnings with practical tools and heartfelt guidance. Marion, thank you so much for joining us today for this really important conversation.
You are so welcome. I'm honored to be here and thank you so much for asking me.
Yes, this is such a
Yes.
really important discussion. Before we dive all the way into it, tell us a bit about yourself. Like, what inspired you to start the Redefine Me movement?
Yes, absolutely. Again, my name is Marion White Johnson. I am a life redefinition strategist, and I specifically focus on Black professional women of faith, like she said, redefine and reclaim their life in the aftermath of loss and life transitions. And I had several loss in my life. The one that really encouraged me to start the Redefine Me movement is when I lost my sister almost 10 years ago. It'll be 10 years on November the 24th, 2024. She passed away in 2014. And that when my sister passed away, we were very close. She was my big sister, and of course I was a little sister, and I looked up to her. So if anyone can imagine, that really defined my life in a way where I didn't think that I was able to bounce back. You know, sometimes we go through life and we have different blows in life, and others may seem like, we can bounce back very quickly, but then there are times where you have to take some time to really reflect. And I really knocked on the door of depression. I was
Mm,
just going on autopilot, where after my sister passed, I had no meaning. She was my cheerleader. She was the person that pushed me. And I went on autopilot to where I was going to work, where I was sleeping and doing it all over again, but did and grieving and crying and really did not have an outlet. So the reason why I started Redefine Me movement is I actually started with scented cards where I gave to other women that have experienced loss. And when I gave those scented cards, in those scented cards, I had a sentimental message inside of them to encourage them. And
mhm,
from that, it became workshops in my home, virtual, and then it moved to conferences, small group coaching, and now it is a movement. And I'm just
mm,
excited. We have my initiative is Redefine Your Healing initiative, and we have over 60 graduates to where they have been able to find their purpose, redefine their life, and really go deep inside of them to see what is their purpose now, now that this has
mhm.
happened in their life. So So that's why I said yes to Redefine Me movement.
Yes, I love that whole concept, like how you went through something and from that birthed this new idea that's helping so many people. How did you how did you manage to go on that journey? Because folks are on that journey right now where they're going through an evolution. They may be a parent who suffered loss of a child, or a
Mhm.
child suffering the loss of a parent, or even some, folks in our community who are on this journey of healthier eating, healthy lifestyle. They may be working in the healthcare field and feeling really disillusioned by their profession
Right.
and want to evolve into something new. How, like, what kind of advice or words of wisdom do you have for them for pinpointing what that could be and what that could look like?
Yes. For me personally, journaling, being I have a journal, which I meant to grab it, but I have a journal that's specifically for my sister. I
Hmm.
know it's called the Leslie Journal and it's purple because my color was favorite color. Her name was Leslie, but my favorite color is purple and her favorite color is purple. And anytime that I want to tell her something big in my life, I don't stop. It's just like she's still here, but it's in a different way. That's
Mm-hmm.
what redefinition means, is to look at different things in your life in a new defining way. So journaling, having something's not just brain dumping. What I call brain dumping is just putting those thoughts down without rhyme or reason to see what's inside of your soul and your spirit. That's another tool. So you can empty out your heart so you won't carry all of those heavy emotions on you, because they are it. This healing journey is a process, and one day you'll be happy and one day you're crying, but brain dumping will allow you to release. But with the Leslie journal, I do those highlights. Before, when it first happened, the first 5 years, I would just cry. She was here when I purchased the home, but when I just did different things in my life, I got stronger each breath by breath. Each is not just minute by minute, but anytime that you can wake up, you can breathe, you still have time to redefine your purpose and redefine your life. So being able to write it down, being able to designate something special, because something special for her, I did it while she was alive, and I can do it now as a memory,
Mm-hmm.
as my angel. The second thing I would say is I have a module in Redefine Your Healing, is when you heal, you begin to feel. When you begin to heal and take those, the first thing is acknowledgement. When you can acknowledge, okay, I want to celebrate my win, that I acknowledge today that today is not a good day. So then acceptance. Now that you have acknowledged where you are, um, definitely write that down, but get into a place of acceptance to where you're able to accept what has happened. And sometimes that is a stage of grief, but getting to acceptance is a hard road. It's a very hard road, but it's necessary to be able to heal in a healthy way.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the clients that I deal with have been going through unhealthy cycles of healing, of unhealthy healing. I'm sorry. And what does unhealthy healing looks like? It may be not being able to accept, going into autopilot, being able, like you said, to not really take care of your body and have that weight on you. And that's what happened to me. I gained about 60 pounds. But once I got to acceptance, and I guess the third thing would be I was able to reinvent myself, even in the midst of something that was that broke my heart. I was able to reinvent myself with my locks. Before my sister passed, She loved my locks. She was like, "Oh, that's it. That's your look. That is what you're supposed to do." But this is a spiritual journey for me, and this is a journey of strength, and it's an
Mm-hmm.
ode to her. But it's also, I love it because it's really symbolic to my walk. It's the healthiest my hair has ever been.
Wow.
So even in this redefinition, I find myself being healthier mentally, emotionally, and not bearing who she is to me. Not bearing anything, bearing the things that she gave me with her. I'm able to show that light. I'm able to wear purple. I'm able to have the journal. I'm able to honor women in her memory. I'm able to wear my locks.
Mm-hmm.
Not really overshadowing um, the things that may bring me joy when I think about her,
Mm-hmm.
um, but being able to acknowledge those things. I know I said a lot, but hopefully
That's
you
so
you
beautiful.
get some nuggets from that.
Yes, and I love that. One of the things that you mentioned that I think is really key to underscore is when you said it took you like 5 years to
Hmm.
get through that grief, the grief process, you know? It
Hmm.
could take a long time because I know it was 11 years after my grandmother died that I, got therapy because I had planned to become a coach and I knew I was going to be telling the story of my grandmother and I could not talk about her without crying. And that was 11 years after the
Yes.
fact, And,
Hmm.
a lot of people, for some people, not a lot of people, for some people, they find this really strange. How could you be still crying over a decade, after the fact? And grief is really individual. It
It
looks
is.
different for each person and it takes as long as it takes, especially when it's not treated. Because basically, you're talking about actually acknowledging it and working through it in a very intentional manner.
Yes, that is so true. Everybody's journey is your journey. And so I tell women that, where you have strength in areas, I may still be weak, and vice versa. And so it is a journey. This is not a sprint, this is a process. But in that process, you will get stronger. I know even if you just experienced grief, I have a lot of friends right now that's in my inner circle that's experiencing grief, not just the loss of loved one, but a loss of themselves, a loss of relational loss, a hard breakup, and even me in my own personal story. I'm a woman over 40. I'm actually a proud 47-year-old Black woman, and I'm okay with sharing my age because that's honor. Your age is honorable.
Mm-hmm.
Really, after the season we had with COVID, I'm proud to be 47.
Right.
But I've always wanted to be a mother. I've always wanted to bear a child. And I've went through countless surgeries, fibroids, you name it. I mean, all the different things that I've tried to do, pills, shrinking my tumors and or the fibroid tumor. And then recently, really like 2 years ago, I really took took the initiative to overcome my triggers. So that's one thing. You can have triggers, but how are you going to react to those triggers? Mother's Day was a trigger for me. I mean, a
Mm-hmm.
very hard trigger to where my mother is still here, thank God. But I always want to be a mother. So we started a Mother's Day tradition to where we can still honor our mothers, and really from really last year is a when I really started to acknowledge myself as being a momty, which is a mom auntie,
I
actually
like
to
that.
my sister's youngest son, who is a lot like me. I mean, you never know why life ends up the way it is, because I really am a mom auntie to a lot of my nieces and nephews, but to him, I have really been there during his journey of college and things like that. And I'm a proud mom T, and I'm also a proud coach to women to help them birth their gifts, you know. And so that was a moment of acceptance to where I can still nurture, but I had to redefine that nurturing. It may not be as a natural mother, as I'm 47, and where I've kind of made that decision that it's okay if I don't have natural children, because I had to go through a grieving process to say, you know what, this is about to look different for me. I'm not going to go another year in having this loss overtake me, because that's pretty much what it did. And
Yeah.
so that's another form of grieving that I just want to encourage women with as well. I'm sorry, this is slipping, but that form of grief can be is really unspoken.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
having that as well. But just matter what loss what kind of loss you go through, you still have to go through the process. And I promise you, during the process, when you get to that place of acceptance and acknowledge where you are, like, this is not a bad day, or this is a bad day, this is a good day, this is a day that I'm so glad that I got out of bed today. I'm so glad that I got out of work, that I was able to go to work. I'm so glad that I was able to acknowledge whatever that loss is, to do better in that day. So
Thank you for sharing that. And you also mentioned
you're
earlier
welcome.
that you've helped about 60 plus people, right, in your program.
Yes.
Can you share a
hmm
story of someone who's navigated successfully finding their purpose after grief?
Yes, it was really at a retreat, because I do self care retreats as well. I had a retreat in January, and it was a young lady. I won't say her name, but it was a young lady that really, her mother had passed away. She was having problems, or really having a barrier. I won't say that. She was having a barrier connecting with women in the room, as well as being able to forgive her mother. Her mother, she had an issue where um, the young lady is adopted, but she could never really forgive her mother. And during that time, during the retreat, we were able to have a moment, to where one of the alumni and one of my clients, she was able to identify with that, because she was going through the same thing. She had just lost her mother. When she was able to forgive her mother of some things, she was able to encourage her in that moment, to say, and also give her a motherly hug, because the age gap, I think my client was in her 60s, and this young lady was in her 40s, so she was able to give her that motherly love. And in that moment, she was able to break some of the barriers, to where, because she was having problems. She was really saying, and she said this, she was like, I'm having some problems connecting with women, because I'm not used to being around women. I'm used to isolating myself. I'm used to, figuring out my problems by myself and things like that. So this is hard. This is hard for me. I took a risk and made the investment in myself, but I'm not connecting, because I cannot get over this unforgiveness. The retreat was started at 9 a.m. By 12 o'clock, this young lady was taking selfies with everybody. She was hugging everybody, and it was because that's the activity, the self discovery activity that we had, was able to write that information, to write a letter to her mother, and also write down some things that may be a barrier to her forgiving her mom. And also, the hug that the other client gave her broke a lot of unforgiveness that she had for her mother. I'm so sorry;
Hmm.
these things are slipping, but
Yes.
I apologize. But so now when I follow up with her, she is doing just, it was what they say, a 180 transformation. It that really helped a lot of women be able to walk in forgiveness in the room. It was like
Hmm.
a ripple effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, because even though we have loss and grief in our life, we have to work through not only healing and grief and loss, but we also have to have forgiveness as well. You know, I have to have forgiveness in regards to my sister because she passed away from ovarian cancer, or from cancer, cervical cancer. It metastasized through her body,
Hmm.
but I had to forgive her for not taking better care of herself. You know, she was definitely a person that took care of her children, put her family first, but it's some things I know that could have been prevented if she took better care of herself.
Hmm.
So that is a that's a stage in grief, forgiveness. And that young lady, I'm telling you, even now, she is just doing amazing. But because of the retreat that we had, and because of the other client that was there, she was able to relate to her struggle, and also, you know, relinquish some of those barriers just because she was able to forgive.
Hmm. I love that story. The
Hmm.
things that you mentioned, I really want to highlight. Like so far you've talked about acceptance, you've
Hmm.
talked about forgiveness, you mentioned community, right? The retreat and physical
Absolutely.
touch. And
Hmm.
this is all within the framework and context of loss and grief, but I find so much relevancy um, with with our community, even going on the journey of doing something different, right? Like you're a
Yes.
clean eater and you may be the only clean eater in your family, and you feel like the odd person out. You have fear of not just the social isolation but also of ridicule from other family members, and you're watching family members do things, eat things that you feel is basically moving them towards chronic disease and disability and all this stuff, right? And so it has people really frustrated, upset, angry. I know I went through this whole process because my entire family, watched my grandmother die at home on hospice care due to complications from type 2 diabetes. So I expected everyone to basically respond the same way I did when I found out food could reverse this in 2 weeks,
Yes.
by eating a whole food vegan diet. And not everyone was on the same page. But
Mm-hmm.
everything you mentioned here, like in terms of getting to a place of one, acceptance that everyone is on their own health journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
Two, forgiveness, right? Forgive
Mm-hmm.
them and yourself. Because I know, like with me, um, I spent my youth like a caretaker for my grandmother, and it all didn't work out, right? It felt like it was
Yes.
all for naught. I was really angry at the doctors. Why didn't they tell us? Maybe they didn't even know. So I had to forgive myself. I had to forgive the system, right? The system is what it is. Not all doctors are privy to the stuff because the system just doesn't allow for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The community aspect, leaning into like-minded people, right, to fill you up on an emotional level,
Mm-hmm.
which is what you talked about. and physical touch. We all need it as humans. This is how you regulate your nervous system, right?
Yes. Yes.
This is
Absolutely.
soul healing. So
Yes.
I love this. Like, this is really gold what you're mentioning, and is applicable in so many situations when we're dealing with really tough emotions. I mean, acceptance
Yes.
is hard when it comes
Mhm.
to death, grief, even as entrepreneurs, right? When you start a business and then you have to close the business, um, it's hard. It's hard.
Mhm.
And so accepting and moving through that. So thank you so much. I feel like these are really great practical steps. Did I miss anything? Is there something you feel like definitely should be added to the list that folks should keep in mind?
No, I think that that's great what you said about physical touch and being able to activate your nervous system. But I also want to say that even hormones, when we exercise, those endorphins that come out, and serotonin, and I feel like that's why actually I know in doing research, I know that COVID really affected a lot of people because we weren't able to touch. But having that physical touch it was everything. It's being able not only to be relatable, but reactivating those hormones, those that feel good. That's what I call it. The feel everything that feel good about knowing that I can hug you. I know that I'm able to be here with you, and I'm not alone. So that's one of our hashtags is hashtag let's heal together, and you should not heal alone. And that is one thing that I want to encourage. If I could say anything else, is not only having community, but having a support system. Even if it's one person, when you're going through your healing and grieving process, have a trusted person that you can confide in, to be able so they will know your innermost thoughts and your personal struggles. So that's one thing that I would add.
Yeah, which I know is really tough for some people. We get to be really
Hmm.
guarded and like private, maybe because we've been hurt in the past by other
Yes.
folks. Do you like, how do you help folks move through that fear?
Move through it is talking about some of the benefits of community and taking it one step at a time. With people who's guarded, if and also, like I said before, celebrating the small wins. My win may be that I went out and I did 30 minutes on the elliptical, but someone that maybe or who's naturally guarded, their win maybe, I was able to pick up the phone and call you. I
Mm-hmm.
was able to pick up the phone and call my coach or call my mentor. That's a win. And taking it at their pace, but realizing that you can only do so much by yourself. You can only do so much in isolation. We were never intended to be in isolation. And I can go so far with that, but I know that we're
Yeah.
wrapping up. But you can only, if we talk about the nervous system, we talk about all the good hormones, we talk about that, being around a community of not only women, but like-minded women who's on the same journey, is it fills your soul, your
Mm-hmm.
mind, your body, your emotions, your will. So you can only do so much by yourself, but also go at your own pace.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Thank you so much. So, do you have any upcoming retreats that folks can connect to?
I do. I have, of course, you can reach me through redefinememovement.org. I have an event coming up. I'm in Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, have an event where we're celebrating 8 years, 8 years in business.
Nice.
It's called the
Congrats.
Thank you, Redefine Me, the Redefine Woman Luncheon. We're celebrating 8 years. I'm celebrating clients as well as giving awards for some of the ladies that has impacted or who has impacted my life. And I have a program called the Redefine Purpose program. It's a one-on-one, it's Redefine Purpose VIP one-on-one accelerator where I can help you walk through those steps. You don't have to do this alone. If you just knowing, I can relate to who you are, I can relate to wherever you've been because I'm on my own personal journey as well. So I have that as well where you can connect with me one on one, and also a free tool for I have the ultimate guide for rebuilding your life after loss. Is 4 steps to creating a new normal after loss. I believe that link is in here. But you can that's the first step. Just being able, one of those steps again, we talk about acceptance, community and encouragement, and also creating a legacy. Creating a legacy after loss is so important because that allows that person's memory not only to be alive, but it empowers you during the process. So, those are 3 ways that you can connect with me.
Well, thank you so much. This has really been brilliant. Really great resources. So I really appreciate you. And thank you all, the viewers. Thank you for tuning in today's episode of the Raw Food Health Empowerment Podcast. We hope you found our conversation with Marion as enlightening and as inspiring as I did. I mean, there are just so many value bombs that she dropped here, gems that can be utilized in many different scenarios. I think all of us need these words of wisdom right now, regardless of what we're going through. Marion's journey and commitment to empowering women through her Redefine Your Healing program reminds us that of the powerful link between spiritual, emotional, and physical health. And I talk about this all the time, how all of this is needed if you want to have a healthy brain and a healthy body. So this is all part of your holistic well-being, right? She has a
Yeah.
great book called The Healing Chamber Workbook. You can also check that out. Her website is in the description to this video. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube, because we will have another special guest tomorrow where we're specifically going to be talking about journaling. So thank you for teeing that up for us, Marion, so we
Oh,
could dive even
awesome.
deeper to this really, really critical tool for exploring your deep psyche, your emotions, and working through that. So thank you all for spending time with us today. And until next time, keep nourishing your body, enriching your mind, and feeding your soul. Thank you all. Take care.